Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.
When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. Rowpaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Joining B.J. Rains today is KTIK 95.3 FM The Ticket's Mike Prater. Listen to Idaho Sports Talk with Prater in the Ballgame, weekdays from 3 to 6 on 95.3 FM The Ticket and online at KTIK.com. Now, here's Mike Prater and B.J. Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, greetings, Boise State fans. How's it going? Happy Thursday to you. B.J. Rains and Mike Prater with you. It's a Thursday edition of Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com with our partnership over at KTIK 95.3 The Ticket. Mike's there in the Rowpaint.com studios downtown. We're in the Cutwater Canned Cocktail studios out here in Meridian. We're getting all the sponsors in early on this one. How's it going, Mike?
Doing well, BJ. How you doing, bud?
Doing great, man. Doing great. It's Thursday. We got a lot to talk about. We got, the weather's kind of becoming football weather here. And I guess speaking of sponsors, we got to give a free plug for Johnny 307, huh?
307. I apologize before I went on the air. I have to give a plug to Johnny's T-shirt apparel company. It's lagging behind in sales, and we're trying to kickstart a new campaign here. So everybody go out and buy yourself a little Johnny 307. Who doesn't look good in purple on a 9 o'clock on a Thursday morning, BJ?
Well, yeah, you are sporting it well. Hopefully, you're being compensated for that. That's I got the product placement as well with the Row Paint polo here, so we know how the business works. But obviously, got a lot to talk about. We got the BYU game on Saturday. I want to talk a little BSU hoops as well, because the next time me and Mike Prater talk, they'll either be 0-1 or 1-0 in the regular season with the opener next Wednesday, and then do want to reminisce and relive the action from last night's BNN After Dark with George Iloka as well. A lot going on. We had 3 shows yesterday. The Winston Venable show. We had the Matt Bauscher show. We had BNN After Dark. I was figuring out what it's like to be Mike Prater and have to host 3 hours of radio every day.
I'm sure you nailed it, and I saw some of that yesterday, and you're doing a nice job. Days like today, weeks like this are beautiful because it's the collision of the seasons, and it's almost like summer's turning into fall, fall's turning into winter. We got all kinds of 3 different seasons of sports. We got World Series no-hitters going on. It's a good time to be a sports fan.
Well, make sure you're following us on the YouTube channel. You just go to youtube.com/Bronco Nation News. You can also follow the KTIK YouTube channel. They do a daily video segment as well. So if you're watching us on Twitter or Facebook, the easiest way is to subscribe to the YouTube channels. You can get notified when we go live for future broadcasts and things like that. So we're approaching 1,700 YouTube subscribers. We're growing at a pretty rapid rate, actually. So we're going to keep this thing rolling. And again, YouTube, hopefully you're subscribed. Just press that button down at the bottom of the screen, and we will add you to the list there. But the BYU game on Saturday, Mike, a lot of talk this week, the last game of the rivalry. We know your thoughts as a Utah guy on BYU probably, but what do you make of this being the last game of this series? And maybe if that adds, the players say it doesn't add anything, but at least in the stands and with the fans, I think there is some meaning to this being the last game for a while.
Yeah, I think there is, and it might be the last game forever. And you never want to say forever, you never want to say never, but I can't imagine a scenario where BYU, Boise State get back on the schedule. Maybe somewhere down the road, a quick home and home series like they did in 2003, 2004. I think it's sad. I mean, I really feel like it's sad, and I'm not using that word lightly. It really is sad. It's my favorite game of the season. I think it is for a lot of other fans. I know there's plenty of fans that want it to go away for whatever, sports, personal, religious, reasons for whatever. But that's what part of the spice that brings this game to the forefront for me. It's regional. It's important. It's a great competitive battle. It's good for prestige for both programs. Boise State helps BYU. BYU helps Boise State. I feel bad that it's going to go away. We had Hans Olsen on yesterday on Idaho Sports Talk, and he just doesn't see a path. I don't see a path, and let's just enjoy this game on Saturday because it could be a fun, spicy football game, and I'm not sure when we'll get another one again.
I know everybody throws out the rivalry term and all that stuff. I think based on the games and everything that's happened, I definitely think it's a rivalry. I know Spencer Danielson said he didn't know if he wanted to use the word or not, and every year it comes up, well, who's Boise State's rival? Is it BYU or Nevada or Fresno or San Diego State or Air Force? But I do think this had all the makings in this series of a rivalry game. You had upsets. You had, last second plays, you had guys punching people in inappropriate areas. I mean, it just did the fan bases, the fact that you could drive between the two cities, the fact that there were a lot of BYU fans in this area, a lot of Boise State fans would make the trip down there. I mean, every year I do it. But I go back and I look at all the previous games, and there's always another one that you forgot about. I mean, I was looking through all the games, and I had forgotten about the Zach Wilson getting stuffed on the goal line, and then you had the David Moa blocking the kick, and then yet after that, everyone thinks that's the last play of the game, but the ball didn't get to the line of scrimmage, so BYU ended up getting a Hail Mary again after that down into the end zone, which fell incomplete, and the Mangum Miracle going back to 2015, and all these ones that I'm not even mentioning. It's just been you're hard-pressed in a 12-year series. And, again, it's not like they've played this thing for 100 years.
No.
They've only played every year since 2012. But it lived up to the billing, man. That deal, which the original 12-year deal was supposed to end next year, both teams got their money's worth in this one.
No doubt about it. The fan bases as well. We did a oral history of this series on Idaho Sports Talk this week, and it started off with just a cute little 10, 12-minute segment where we wanted to kind of go down every single game and talk about the highlights and we're not going to be able to fit it in there. We ended up doing a 2-part series on that because you couldn't cram all the highlights. Every single game brought some kind of dramatics to the table, whether it was good, bad, weather, stupid calls. Don't forget the Kalani Sitake, the worst call in the history of college football, the fake punt from his own 2-yard line on 4th and 19. Are you kidding me? And Boise State still couldn't convert. So it's been a weird series. It's been a fun series, and I certainly expect more on Saturday night.
You had the game a couple years ago where Boise State was undefeated. It was a rainy, cold day down in Provo. Chase Cord had to start, and they ran some trick plays on Boise State and get the lead, and then it ends up being 4th and 1. And there was this whole issue with the chains where they weren't lined up properly. And then basically it came down to a 4th and 1 from like their own 35. And they decided to go for it and had like a safety run the ball or something. And if they didn't get it, Boise State was going to almost already be in field goal range with like 30 seconds left. And so that ended their undefeated season. Boise State went 12 and 1 that year, I think it was, or 11 and 1. And the only loss was to BYU by 3 points. Last year, Boise State going down there and upsetting them. So do you think this game on Saturday has the makings to be another classic one in this rivalry?
Absolutely. Now, let's not talk about classic football teams here. BYU is not very good. BYU defensively is one of the worst teams in all of college football. They're giving up a lot of points. They're not being efficient at all. They've made some changes with their staffs on the defensive side. So they're really grasping at straws defensively. Now, for a fact, though, they're going to come and bring the physicalness. They're going to bring the nasty spiritedness. And they still have Jaron Hall at cornerback, who's one of the better quarterbacks in all of the West. He's very tricky, very efficient. He's had some serious injury problems with his wide receivers. That's another issue with this football team. Boise State on paper is clearly the better football team and is trending up. BYU is trending down, but I don't think in this series that matters, BJ.
And I do think I know it's cliche to say or whatever, but it does look like BYU is a classic case of maybe being a little better than their record. I mean, I know they've lost 4 in a row, Mike, but they've lost to some pretty good teams. I know East Carolina, they just lost to last week, but I mean, for the most part, they're playing a lot of Power 5 teams, and they've played a pretty tough schedule this year.
Yeah, they have, and they always have, and they're going to have success stories, and they're going to have failures with that kind of a schedule. And after this game, it kind of eases up for them a little bit, and they should be able to I shouldn't say should be able to finish out with a couple of victories, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, but I still think that this is, other than the intangibles, like I talked about, the physicalness of it, Jaron Hall factor, so on and so forth. I don't think Boise State should win this football game. I'm not overly intimidated by this football game. I know Boise State has to respect what they got going on there, but if Boise State trends up and continues the progress that they've had, especially on defense, Boise State's defense should just absolutely shut down BYU's running attack, which isn't that strong, force Jaron Hall to throw the ball and get him into situations. That's where Boise State can really capitalize.
Double O'Neill says BYU is still dangerous. And I think, this is a throw out the records. All that kind of cliche stuff does seem to make some sense here. But this is going to be one of the better passing attacks Boise State has played this season. And there are some detractors out there, Mike, that say, well, they're number one in passing, but they keep giving up these big plays every game. And they haven't really played anybody that's that good against the pass. Do you think that Boise State is truly the number one pass defense in the country, or do they get exposed a little bit on Saturday? Any concern with the pass defense? It's ranked number one, but, other than Oregon State, they haven't exactly played murderer's row in the passing game yet. I think that is what they do against BYU's passing attack, which I know you mentioned some receivers have been in and out of the lineup, but this will still be one of the better passing attacks they've faced all year. I am curious to see how the secondary plays.
They're probably going to get burned for a couple of big plays. The secondary has shown, the inability or the ability to do that so far this year. So, I think BYU is going to strike a couple of times, but that passing game, it's good. It doesn't overly scare me. And you're 1,000% right. Do I think Boise State's the number one passing defense in the country? No. I would even put them in the top 10. Maybe the rush defense and how physical they play. I like that. And I think that could stack up with any run game, any rushing attack in this country. The passing side, we still need to see it. It's a product of being good. It's a product of the playmakers back there. It's a product of the schedule. I have a sneaking suspicion that we won't see Boise State's pass defense tested until maybe the Mountain West Championship game against a guy by the name of Jeremy Hayner or Jake Hayner. So let's see what he does. I think that might be the first passing attack. If this season plays out the way we think it will be, Boise State versus Hayner down the road, that will test Boise State's pass defense.
3 weeks ago, this was an automatic loss. Now we're going to win, according to Double O'Neill. Jordan says BYU's just lucky Stanford lost their tree before the upcoming game. Might help them get bowl eligible, according to Jordan. But, Taylon Green, obviously, it seems like every Thursday we come on your mic and we have the same topics to talk about, the running game, and then now it's Taylon Green and Dirk Cutter the last couple of weeks. But every game he's gotten better, man. I think I've said it all 4 days this week on the morning show, but you go back to that San Diego State game, the dude was 5 of 10 for 48 yards, and we're thinking, they're turning into Air Force. They're going to just win by running the ball every play. And I don't think at that point you could have given me 100-1 odds that Taylon Green was going to pass for 300 yards in a game. And they had those 2 back-to-back 300-yard rushing games, and now they've had back-to-back games of, well over 200 yards passing 2 weeks ago, 300 yards this week. Every game he continues to get better. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to throw for 400 this week, but what do you make of the continued improvement as a passer from Taylon Green and obviously Dirk Cutter's influence on that?
I'm the king of hyperbole. I get accused of that all the time in my life, work life, personal life, but I'm not afraid of saying that this is one of the most unique stories I've ever covered in 28, 29 years of covering Boise State football. It's so unique. And I really have no idea. I fully expect Taylon Green to have that freshman hiccup moment, whether that's a quarter, a series, an important series, a game-clinching series, maybe even a really, really bad game. He's going to have a bad game, and I'm not sure where it's going to crop up or how bad it's going to be. Right now, you have to trust that the trajectory that he's going with his career, he's not going to pass for 400 yards this weekend, although that'd be pretty fun against BYU. Yeah. But I expect him to keep getting better and better and better. And Dirk Cutter is putting him in situations where he can't really have that freshman hiccup. They pushed the pass last week, but they were comfortable passes. He never looked like he didn't belong in that situation. He handled it very smoothly. So mentally, physically, I like the coaching that's going on with this kid. And everything that everybody's been saying about him is coming true. He's grounded. He's not too big for the moment. He's got a work ethic. He's well prepared. He studies. All of that's coming to fruition for him right now, even though we really haven't seen him up until the last couple of weeks. I think that this dude's got a beautiful story, and I can't wait to see it play out on Saturday.
The lead to my story after the game was if you get this version of Taylon Green moving forward compared with this, combined with this version of Boise State's defense, I honestly don't know when they lose again. I mean, I don't know if maybe it's the bowl game, maybe it's the the New Year's Six or whatever. I have no idea, but I don't see if Taylon Green is passing for 300 yards and shaking and baking guys on 10-yard touchdown runs, and then this defense is playing like this. You're right. I don't know where it would rank for me all time. I'm obviously been in this business a lot younger than less than you have, but I think that the combination of Green and this defense, I don't know when this team loses again, Mike.
On paper, they shouldn't. On paper, they absolutely shouldn't. And on paper, they'll be favored for every single game here for the rest of the season. I smell like a The one game on this schedule that really worries me is the Wyoming game. One, because you never know about the weather, and you just know Craig Bull's going to just muck it up and make it ugly. They're probably going to try to get into Taylor Green's head and just rattle him. And there's a lot of dead bodies buried in Laramie, Wyoming, BJ, and you don't want to go there and try to survive. The Wyoming game scares the crap out of me, even though Boise State will be at least a touchdown favorite going into Laramie. That's the one game that really scares me. I'm not worried about anybody on the west side in a potential championship game. And if they lose to Wyoming, they might be in a little bit of trouble. So let's certainly see what happens there. But Boise State at this point, it's really weird. We had all this optimism as the season started. Then you hit rock bottom, and now look at us. We're sitting here predicting an undefeated finish to this football season.
And where are the Prater rankings for the group of 5? Are they still hanging around in that, you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they need a lot of help. There's no doubt about it. But there's only 5 or 6 teams on the group of 5 list, and it certainly starts with Tulane. It certainly starts with UCF and Cincinnati. Cincinnati lost last week. There's so much in front of Boise State that needs to happen. You need to have one thing happen every single weekend. So keep an eye. Last week it was a Cincinnati loss. This week you maybe want a Tulane loss or a UCF loss. Coastal Carolina is still lurking out there. And then I will give the Mountain West side, in terms of potentially winning the Mountain West. Now they have some losses on that side, so I don't think they can go off and play for a Cotton Bowl. But I think Boise State, if Boise State wins out, they'll show up in these CFP rankings that we saw on Tuesday night. There's no doubt about that. And it just depends on a couple of teams in front of them. I think there's a clear path, but they need a lot of help.
Hey, if you're looking for a new job, why don't you become a truck driver? And I'm talking everything from the big rig on your screen to the Amazon truck in your neighborhood. TCS, Transportation Compliance Service, can help you every step of the way to get the permits and things you need to get out there towing that first load in no time. Check them out, transcompservice.com. The Blue and Orange Store, check them out as well. Free shipping, any order over $40. That's right, any order over $40, you get free shipping at the Blue and Orange Store. I'm actually headed down there today to pick up 20 more gift cards that we can offer out to some more subscribers that sign up as we continue to grow here at a record pace. So if you are not in the area, check them out, blueandorangestore.com. If you are, you can head on over to the Boise Town Square Mall. Check them out on the second floor there. Dr. Chris Meinert, my dentist, I just saw Prater that I got the reminder I have an appointment coming up and I'm going to be at Myrtle Beach, so I'm going to have to reschedule, but that's okay. They can easily do that for me. BoiseDentistryCo.com, locations across the Treasure Valley. You will not be disappointed with Dr. Meinert and his staff. Check them out, BoiseDentistryCo.com. And United Commercial Insurance. I'm actually meeting with Brandon Meinert today. And I'm looking forward to that. UnitedCommercialInsurance.com. 44 states around the country. That's right. They can write business policy insurance in 44 states around the country, even though they're based here in the Treasure Valley. So we appreciate them. We're a client of theirs, Bronco Nation News, and happy with their services. So hopefully, if you own a business, you'll consider supporting a local company that supports us, United Commercial Insurance. They make business insurance easy. So last night on BNN After Dark, Mike, we had another great episode. George Iloka was our guest last night, 5th round NFL draft pick. He's not officially retired, still hanging on. He's, was from 2012, was played in a couple different teams, obviously with the Bengals and then the Minnesota Vikings, was on the practice squad with the Cowboys, I believe, but not officially retired, but came on last night. We were going down memory lane, telling some stories and things as we do, and we've been having a lot of fun. And this is a subscriber-only show, so subscribers last night were treated to some great stories, one of which I wanted to play for you, Mike, because I think this is right up your alley. He was trying to gain some weight. What better? And he saw Doug Martin and he saw Jarrell Root and some of these guys gaining weight. Well, what they do, they drank beer. So he gave it a shot. Here's the story from George Iloka.
So I remember when I finally moved out of the dorms and I moved in with Jerron and K-Dell. I'm like, man, I got to gain some weight. I got to get big. I'm like this skinny freshman. So I started, I was like, man, but Doug and Jarrell and JP, man, they're pretty big. What do? Man, they drink Keystone. So I'm like, man, maybe I need to try. I'm young. I don't know much about nutrition. I'm like, when they drink Keystone a lot and they're pretty swole, so I need to start drinking a Keystone every meal. So I legit for probably like 2-3 weeks drank a Keystone Light or a Keystone with breakfast, lunch, and dinner to try to get big like them. And I ain't gained not one lick of weight. All it made me do was sweat and pee a lot. It ain't do nothing for me. It ain't do nothing for me.
Oh, that might be the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Keystone for breakfast.
He drinks Keystone beer for breakfast.
A future NFL draft pick trying to gain weight. He doesn't, go for the protein shakes. He doesn't go in the weight room. He says, well, what's Doug Martin do? Oh, he drinks Keystone. All right, I'm going to try drinking Keystone. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh, my. I love that story. And I'm surprised he didn't gain a lick of he didn't gain a pound. Now, if you and I were drinking beer for breakfast, we'd gain 5 pounds, BJ. That's not fair.
All he said it made him do was sweat and pee a lot. So, yeah, he
I love that story.
Yeah, that was another good one. We've got some we've had a lot of fun doing this, and if I can pull the other one up real quick. I'm not advocating anybody do anything illegal here. This is just a joke. We're just playing around here. But this was a request. So he lived on a street called South Latah Street, where he lived with Jerron Johnson and some of these guys. And at the end of the show, he had a joking request. We're not taking this serious. This is a joking request from George Iloka.
I got one request. I don't know who's watching, but I got a request out there. You know what I'm saying? So I talked about South Latah. I got Jamar's jersey. I got K-Dub somewhere. You know what I mean? Got Jerron's, right? I need someone who's in Boise currently to, go to South Latah somehow, some way, see if you can get the street sign and hit me up so I can get that off you, because I need that for the man cave. And I'm going to put all their jerseys up with the South Latah sign. So I need someone to help me get that. You know what I mean?
Hey, George, I was like, dude,
what's that worth it to you, man?
That's Dan Holstein, man. He'll go.
Hey, hit me up in the DMs. I need a picture of proof that you have it. Hit me up in the DMs and we'll work something out. You know what I'm saying?
Now, I would expect Johnny Ballgame to do something like that.
Later in the
street sign.
Later in the show, once George left the show, we actually had about a 5-minute discussion on what would be the easiest way to take down the sign. So yeah, Johnny was the one that knew right away. Maybe if I can fast forward to this, Johnny actually knew that the way to do it would be to let's see here. I got it. Here's Johnny's response.
Yeah, I think it's a doable process. Johnny,
you cut the wood. You don't just try to get the sign out. You cut the wood off. So you take the small piece, the sign is still connected to the wood. You throw it back in your rig, you go home, and then you take the sign off. I think that's what I've heard people do. Just saw it off and
Now, he was getting some grief because he said, what is this, Moscow, Idaho? They don't use wooden signs anymore.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. When's the last time we saw a street sign made out of wood? Johnny, is that Moscow days? People have said that Moscow can be stuck in the past a little bit, but
we don't advocate that, but I did have somebody that's a subscriber email me afterwards. Apparently there's a website where you can get street signs made. So I'm going to forward that the legal way to George and have him get maybe not the official sign that was up there on the street, but you can get one that matches it. And that was apparently a legendary house that they lived in with Jerron Johnson and some of these guys we've heard some stories on. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun last night. BNN After Dark. Keystone will not help you gain weight, at least for George Iloka. He did mention Keystone Light. Maybe that was the problem. He needed the regular Keystone.
Yeah, where was his mentors? These guys trying to help him out a little bit. Come on, dude, get rid of the light beer and load up on some carbs.
When we get Terrell Root on at one of these shows, we're gonna have to bring that up to him because he was not a very good influence, I guess, on George Iloka. But it went pretty well for George Iloka. Went on to have a nice career. He's doing well. He's got a little one now. So he did say he hasn't been back to Boise since he left. We got to get George Iloka back. They're looking to maybe have at some point a reunion or something, but he has not been back since his pro day of his senior year when he got drafted. So he not that he doesn't want to, he just said it was a little out of the way, and he's been playing and hasn't had a chance. And now that he's almost retired here, if he does and nothing happens the rest of this season, he's going to call it quits. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, BNN After Dark. It's for subscribers. If you want to watch the whole episode or some of the previous episodes, Doug Martin, Jerron Johnson, some of the others, just go to BroncoNationNews.com. You can subscribe for as little as $6.99 a month. So we got about 5 minutes left here, Mike. I want to talk basketball. And speaking of short clips that I think you might enjoy, I do have one more clip I want to show. This was after the game, talking to Chibuzo Agbo, asking him about, hey, man, you're not afraid to shoot. You're letting it fly. It looks like you got a lot of confidence. Tell us about that, man.
But I've been playing basketball for a long time. Sometimes I just feel like you got to have, I don't want to say, big nuts, but you have to have big nuts sometimes and just shoot that shot if it's open.
Got to have big big acorn nuts to shoot that shot if it's open. I saw some people already saying they need to get some shirt. They were calling them Big Nuts Ogbo, I guess. We got to maybe make that happen on a shirt or something with some acorn nuts or something. But
I like that. Let's make that the unofficial motto of this team as the season starts. You know what my initial thought was when I saw that? And this is where my stupid mind goes. We barely even know who this guy is. He's barely been on campus for however long. And already we got to interview Chibuzo Ogbo before we got to interview Taylor Green. Come on, that's not right. Let's fix that, BJ.
Yeah, he hasn't played in the game yet. That was early soundbite of the year candidate though for basketball.
Yeah,
I'm sure Leon will give us some at some point. Rudy says love Tyson's facial expression when he was saying that. We've got a hello from Greece. We got a Mr. Tarlis watching. Appreciate you. We got a lot of comments rolling in. We appreciate that. But Mike, Wednesday night, South Dakota State, a team that won 30 games last year. They did lose their leading scorer, but they got a lot of players back. They're predicted second in the Summit League, so they're an upper level team in the mid-major. By no means going to be a walk in the park. It's a game Boise State probably should win, but I think it will be a tricky kind of first game. Lots of times the first home game, you just assume it's some Utah Valley team you've never heard of, and you're going to blow past them. This team actually is pretty good. And then you got Washington State on Saturday right after that, and then they go to Myrtle Beach. So these first 5 games, we're going to really find out a lot about this team. You've been up and down on this program over the years. What's your feeling going into the season with this basketball team?
I have some excited anticipation, and I told you last week that, the media day polls, and I expected a little bit more splash and sizzle as the season started, but, that still doesn't temper my feelings for the anticipation and excitement of this season. To be able to watch Tyson Degenhardt grow is going to be a lot like watching Taylor Green grow. And Tyson Degenhardt, plateau-wise, is so much more ahead of Taylor Green in terms of what he can do. And to watch him be better this year than he was last year, to watch him grow every single game is going to be phenomenal. I can't wait to watch Marcus Shaver. If he can get that shot, be more consistent with that shot, that's going to be a dynamic duo. Ogbo is going to be a lot of fun to watch, and maybe a couple of these other newcomers. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I haven't looked forward to a season opener in a long time. We'll be there. Looking forward to that Washington State game in that environment. There's some serious opportunities in front. I don't even remember. There's a couple of Power 5 possibilities in Myrtle Beach, right?
Yeah. Texas A&M, Colorado. You got Murray State and Loyola Chicago, who aren't Power 5, but are both ranked pretty high in the computer rankings. Yeah. That'll be a tough tournament. Yeah.
Yeah. There's great opportunities, even if they come through with undefeated or one loss. This team can get off to a nice start. So I'm looking forward to it. I really want this program to succeed, and all my angst about this program over the past few years has been about just wanting this program to succeed. I was here at a time where it was really, really successful, and now we've seen it go up and down. And I think Leon Rice has got it to a plateau where he can keep it and be successful and compete for championships. And I think that's very exciting for this basketball team.
And then they go back the day of the Mountain West Championship. They go back to the Dallas area, Fort Worth, to play a Texas A&M team that potentially could be ranked. The following Saturday, they go to St. Louis to play a potential top 25 St. Louis team. They do have they're at Santa Clara like 2 days before Christmas. I mean, it is a pretty tough non-conference schedule, which tells me that Leon Rice feels pretty good about this team, or at least thinks he has a team that can compete if he's going to schedule, pretty hard in the non-conference. If you had one question mark about this team going into the season, Mike, what would it be?
A rim protector, a guy that can get in the paint and muscle some people around. So I'm really worried about Milner, and that's nothing personal, but I just need to see some development. Now, with that said, we saw this coaching staff develop Armouche into a pretty good player in a pretty quick period of time, to be honest with you. I don't think Milner is going to reach that level, but if he can just continue to get better and we can watch him, if he shows up on Wednesday and is just a little bit better than we saw him last year and then just continues to get a little bit better, that's great. I need to see some muscle in there. I need to see some rebounding power. Boise State basketball last year, we talk about all the sex appeal and the sizzle of this team, but as you know, the glue of that roster last year was the muscle inside and the rebounding ability, which kickstarted everything. That factor to me on paper is not there. It starts with Lucas Milner, and I really need to see him come out and just throw some elbows, gain some weight, get in there and protect the rim, and maybe average 8 to 12 points a game. That might be too much for him, but Lucas Milner is the wild card on this basketball team.
Well, the Matt Bauscher Show is back. Don't forget, every week we'll talk basketball with Matt Bauscher. Next Wednesday will be the first episode. We'll be at the Blue and Orange store for a special live edition with Travis Hawks, Matt Bauscher, Winston Venable. We're going to have some fun there. And also, don't forget Ridley's Family Market, shopridleys.com. 13 area locations. You can find a location near you at shopridleys.com. Mike, we got Idaho Sports Talk coming up today, 3 to 6. You and Johnny getting us closer to that BYU game. What do we got today, sir?
We got a good one today. A couple of live guests, live appearances. Mountain West Commissioner Craig Thompson coming in to talk about his role with the College Football Playoff Committee and the college football, all the expansion work. And he's going to come in and talk about the collision of college football, pro football, and television and how it's changing before your very eyes. And then, speaking of Boise State basketball, legendary basketball coach Bobby Dye right here in our KTIK studios. Have not talked to him in about 25 years. And he's being inducted into the Hall of Fame. We got Corey Hall on Idaho Sports Talk. Today, it's Craig Thompson and Bobby Dye. Tomorrow, we got B.J. Rains and Corey Hall. So we got some serious superstars coming on Idaho Sports Talk.
One of the four doesn't fit, but looking forward to it. We'll actually have Corey Hall live on our pregame show on Saturday. He's going to stop by the James, so looking forward to that. Tomorrow night's the Hall of Fame induction. Congratulations to all of them. Thanks to everybody for watching. Thanks to Idaho Central Credit Union, rowpaint.com, Lithia Ford of Boise, all of our great sponsors. Thanks to JP for helping get us on, Mike Prater as well. And we'll be listening 3 to 6 today. Idaho Sports Talk, 95.3 FM and KTIK.com. Have a great day, everybody. Bronco Nation News. We'll talk to you, Jay Tuss, tomorrow at 9 a.m. That'll do it. Bronco Nation News Live, BroncoNationNews.com.